We're here at Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, with Kambiz Tavana, who is recently left Iran and is here in Prague working on Iranian media that needs to be rebroadcast into Iran. Tell me, what would you like to see covered that isn't being covered both here in the West and in Iran?
To tell you the truth, in 2000 I was working with the Office of Associated Press in Tehran. In that time, I was trying to find out for me, this Associated Press, professional journalism, accurate news, finding and investigation. But then after 6 months of working, something happened. In that time, after the whole 2 years of beating up the students and student movements and the reformist government and everything inside Iran, at that time, the current Minister of Education, who later became one of the candidates for the reformists for the election, that Ahmadinejad came, he resigned. And it was a huge story. I was jumping on the story and to do the things. And I called my editor in Dubai and in Cairo and I just giving the definition. Do you know what this means? He's resigning. It's a huge step in the whole reformist movement with whole ideas. And he told me, calm down. From Iran, just 2 stories we want. Al-Qaeda, nuclear. Forget the rest of it. And I said, oh, come on, this is a huge story and I have lots of stuff to go and we have to broadcast and we have to go through this and we have to have good stories and interviews. I said, no, Al-Qaeda, nuclear, end of the story, and hung up the phone. So I just left the story. 2 years ago, I was in Saudi Arabia and there was this conference for this whole, I don't know what's Islamic gathering movement over there. And in Saudi Arabia, there's some certain areas that non-Muslims cannot go there. So there was whole foreign diplomats sitting in their cars and there was big LCDs because they were not allowed to go inside the city, so they were outside the city watching the conference and sometimes even participating. And I had a case study over there that, for women it's forbidden to drive the car in Saudi Arabia. So the diplomats who they are accompanied by the families, they have certain restricted areas that the women can drive with their cars in. When you step outside, you'll get punished. And I was just investigating a case study that one of the diplomats, European diplomats, his wife was driving outside this restricted area, and the police got her out and lashed her in the street. And there was no single news, no single objection, no one, never, no protest, nothing on the news, and nothing. And I had that experience on my mind, and I had these things. Then after some time, I got to this theory that these days, the current news and the role of journalism and press and something is so linked with the power and diplomacy and role. Don't touch this issue, please. Yeah. I'm not saying that the politician cannot go to a paper and says don't touch that issue, please. It's a matter of national security or something. But I don't get why all the medias have to be linked to this kind of lines that not to touch, not to go, or not to think.
Which lines do you want to cross most?
Well, which bothers me most on the deals that the governments or companies are making on huge economy interests or something very important in security like Iraq issue, nuclear case or so. They are ready to put everything off the table and get to the main point that they came for, which is not a good thing. I don't like to see in my country, for example, the people are beaten up in the street. They don't have certain elements, but Iran is giving up its nuclear program. So what happened next? Why the world has to come up with these ideas? To me, the last signal was the direct talks officially between Iran and the United States in Baghdad over the Iraq issue. And I don't know why after 28 years of having lots of different things that they didn't come up with anything. Now they're coming up and talking, especially with this current administration, which is so violent and